I wanted to go ahead and do another light painting photo, but you know what? It's actually kind of bright out right now. You know what? I got an idea. Hold on. Much better. Catch. Let's get to it. Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Sean Misa and welcome to my channel. If it's your first time here, this channel is all about photography, videography, and occasionally do some gear reviews. So if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing with the like button, subscribing, the notifications, and all the other stuff that you do on YouTube. Y'all know. But anyways, so this video is by request. I actually had somebody request how I do some of my light painting photos that I do on my Instagram feed. So by the way, if you're not following me on Instagram, go ahead and check out my link right up here, or not my link, but you know, my tag right up here, so you can check out some of the photos that they're talking about. Some of my recent photos I've been taking is a lot of light painting photography. So what I do, instead of the traditional light painting where I take the shutter speed for 30 seconds and I just draw something within that time frame, what I do is I do stack light painting. So by that, it just means like I take one color, I draw out one thing, take another color, draw out another thing. And those ones, I usually take it about 15 seconds for my shutter speed. If you want to know a little bit more about shutter speed, don't forget to check out that video. One of my videos where I talk about the basics of photography. So shutter speed being one of those. So what I like to do is take 15-second photos, and then within that time frame, it gives me enough time to go ahead and draw out my my pieces. And then in post, what I do is I just go ahead and stack them all together. So therefore creating kind of like an actual painting where I have colors onto there. So I have a little bit of red, some blue, some white, some orange, yellow, all sorts of different things. It's actually very easy to do. And if you haven't seen my light painting photo, right up there as well. And that way you can kind of see some of the basics of light painting. So if you haven't seen that video, go ahead and check that one out. Because this one is just going to be a lot of behind the scenes on how I do my actual photos, and then maybe a few tips here and there while I'm taking the photos. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to set up this camera to be behind my other camera, which is going to be taking the photos. And just so you know, this is the light that I use, something really small. It's just a small little key light right there. So yeah, this is my light that I use. It's really small, and then I just squeeze it, turns it on, let go, turn it off. And then for my color, what I like to do is I have these little strips of color gel. So I have different colors here. So I have, for example, this red color, then I have a yellow one, orange, green, pink, purple, and blue. So with all these colors, I'm able to go ahead and paint all the different types of drawings that I have on my Instagram feed, and then of course white light. So yeah, I just picked up a pack of these color gels really cheap on Amazon. I think it was about 12 bucks for a pack of 8 colors, and they're pretty big pieces. I think they're about 12 by 12. Since I only need a small amount, I just cut out a small little corner, and then I'm able to just go ahead and place it right over the light, and then tap it on, and there we go. Now I have my pink light. This is pretty much the extent of my tools beyond my camera, the tripod, and my imagination. And another tip that I like to do is when I'm taking these light painting photos, I like to go ahead and wear black as much as possible. That way, when the photo is being taken, if there's any kind of extraneous lights, it's not bouncing the white off of my clothes or the other colors off of there. It's gonna be hidden into the black. I'm gonna go ahead and change into these, into a black shirt, black pants, and then I should be good to go. There we go. Now I'm ready to go ahead and paint. So I'll go ahead and set up this camera to be pushed back, and just to give you a little bit of a heads up, it's gonna get dark. I'm going to go ahead and set my shutter speed on this camera to run a little slower. So what you're gonna see is it's not gonna look as smooth as this footage right now, because what's gonna happen is I'm gonna go ahead and set it to slow That way, when I'm drawing my light paintings, you'll kind of see a trail of my light. So you kind of get an idea of what it might look like on a photo. But then you'll see the actual photo itself on the other camera. The first thing that I like to do when I go ahead and take my photos is if I'm going to be in it or if somebody's going to be in it, I actually like to go ahead and take my photos with me first. That way I have a good idea of where to base the rest of my drawings on. So if I go ahead and draw my objects to the left or right of me, I know exactly how high they should be and how low they should be. So right now I set up this camera to, let's see if I can see it. Let me go ahead and rotate it more this way so I have more space with me to work with. So I set up this camera up, and this one is not too dark right now. I set this one only over at 1/8 for my shutter speed, and then my ISO is at 32. My ISO is at 320, and my f-stop is at 4. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and increase my f-stop so that way more can be in focus. I usually like to go ahead and have mine over at f11. So with that, let me go ahead and boost up my ISO a little. Don't want it too bright. You know what? I think right about there looks good. So we'll leave the ISO over at 1250, and then my shutter speed over at an 8, and my f-stop is now at f11. And so yeah, I'll go ahead and set up a timer. Since it's going to be only me, I like to set up a timer for about 5 seconds so it gives me enough time to stand there and take the photo. Another thing to note is, yes, you do want to go ahead and have manual focus, because otherwise if you have autofocus and you have that focus shifting around every photo or so often, especially if you keep on moving, it's going to kind of mess with it in post. Some photos you're going to get, like for example my dishwasher in focus, and then all of a sudden you're going to get me in focus and the background in focus. So when you're stacking them and then when you're editing them, it might not turn out so well. So yeah, another nice little tip over there. Okay, let's go ahead and get this one started. So I'll go ahead and set this one for 5 seconds, and for this one I'm going to be doing a barbecue. So go stand right here. You know what? I don't know if I like that one. Yeah, let's do that one again. Okay. Check that one out. Oh, okay. That's not too bad. Okay, so it looks like if I pay attention right over here, my hand is right at about the middle of the fridge line. So when I draw my grill, draw my spatula, I have an idea of where I'm going to go ahead and draw them. So now I'm going to go ahead and get into that dark mode, and this is going to look really jittery. Plus the ISO is going to be super high. So let's get right to that. Okay, so I normally don't ever have my ISO up this high, but it's actually really dark in here right now. So I have my ISO set at 16,000, I believe. And then my, let's see, my shutter speed is at 1/6. That's why it looks really jittery, like you're kind of like on an old, or a dial-up, not dial-up, yeah, really slow internet and everything's just kind of choppy, you know? But the nice thing about that is, if I go ahead and draw, you can kind of get an idea of the shape that I'm drawing. So that way you can kind of see the trail, and you can get an idea of how I'm doing it. And so for this, so for this camera, I'm going to go ahead and set my shutter speed to about 15 seconds. My ISO, oops. I'll drop that down to, let's go 125, so it's nice and dark. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and draw my grill. All right. My hair's a little messy, but you know what? It's in the dark, you can't really tell. So now I'm ready to go ahead and take these photos doing my light painting. Again, you're just going to see the trail of my light so that we can get an idea of how it works. So you're going to be standing behind the lights, so the light is going to be between you and the camera. So this one's already set up, ready to go, and let's get right to it. So judging by my placement, let's go ahead and have a red barbecue grill. And you know what? I'll set up a, 5-second timer should be good actually. Let's see. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I know it's right about here, so I'm gonna go ahead and draw like that, there. And you know what? Let's do a lid too. And then I think that should be good. So I'm gonna run back here, because otherwise if you stay in the frame for too long while it's taking photos, it's still going to capture you. So let's see how that looked. You know what? That actually turned out pretty good. I'll do another one just in case. I like that one better because I am missing a little bit over here on the left side. So let's try that one again. So again, kind of remember where you are and just start drawing out. And then the lid. And then that's pretty much it. I'm going to do a kind of a basic looking grill. And there you go. Now let's go ahead and check that one out, make sure that one looks good. That one's a deep grill. Actually, you know what? I think that might be a little high. Let's see what my other one look like. You know what? Okay, let me do one more. Sorry. That's the thing about this one. You're gonna have to keep practicing it until you get it right. So light painting can take a while, but once you're done, it can look really cool. So normally what I like to do is I like to go ahead and work with one color at a time. Just that way it makes it a little bit easier. I can make them pop out a little bit more in post. Ooh, okay, that one's good. So yeah, that way I can pop them out a little bit more in post. I can add a little bit more saturation. You know what happened? Am I still recording? Cool. I think my monitor just died. So now, let's go ahead and get... Let's go and get the legs to be blue. So let's go ahead and do 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I draw my legs, and then another one, and then that thing at the bottom. I think that's the tray that catches the charcoal. Let's see how that one looks. Press. Oh, that's actually not too bad. It lines up really well with it. I'll keep that one. All right, the next one, let's go ahead and do the smoke. So that's just gonna be white. So let's go ahead and take that. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So smoke is gonna be and of course, if you make some sound effects to go with it, it just makes it so much more fun. I know you can't really see my face right now, but because I don't want to go ahead and get in the picture, I want to make sure. Ooh. You know what? Part of it is a little bit bright. Let me go ahead and take another photo. So another little tip is if you don't want it to be that bright, what you do is instead of pointing the light directly at the camera, just kind of point it up a little bit, so you can just kind of get like the little bit of the light, as opposed to the like the full flare of the light. Again, depending on the look that you're going for, you might want that look and you might not. Just depends on how you want your drawing. Oh, that looks good. You know what? I can also adjust it a little bit in post if it is a little too wide. But you know what? I like that overall. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the grass. So let's go ahead and get that green. All right, grass. And for grass, what I like to do is I like to just do a whole bunch of little dashes. Cause I tried the whole drawing like mountains look, and it just didn't look right. Not for me, at least, not for my style. So I just draw this as much as I can for the full 15 seconds. And let's see how that one looks. Ooh, that looks good. Sometimes I like to go ahead and do a second layer, but you know what? I think that one works where I don't need to. Because I actually had enough time to go ahead and draw more of the lines. And then the next, let's go ahead and add a sun with a smiley face. Because who doesn't love a smiley face sun? You know what? I need to go ahead and see my reference photo really quick, because I want to see how far do I have to draw the sun. Okay, so I can stand like right about here to go ahead and draw my sun. So let's go ahead and do that. And here we go. So draw my sun. And so this is the other thing too. When you're drawing, you have to kind of really visualize it. You need a really good imagination to really see where you drew the circle, how big your circle is, so that way you know where the eyes are, where the face is. And that one, the eye's a little off. But you know what? Yeah, okay, fine. I'll draw another one. I'm not completely satisfied. But yeah, so you really have to imagine it. You have to really see how big the circle is, where the eyes are, where the mouth is, and where the sun flare is. So a lot of this is just like memorization, memorizing how big you're drawing certain shapes, certain sizes, and where. Ooh, that's a really good sign. I actually like that one. Okay. What else do I need to draw? You know what? I think I need to draw my spatula. Let's go with an orange spatula. All right, so this one I might need to adjust in post, but let's see. I think I'm gonna do. Think like that. Some of these smaller objects are more difficult to draw just because you have limited space. Ooh, you know what? I think that should be good. Okay, so now that I have that, let's see, what else do I need to draw? Oh, the clouds. Because you gotta love that texture in the sky. And what I like to do for my clouds is, I mean, you can just draw like the outline if you wanted, but what I have is an aperture MC light. I know right now these are kind of hard to come by, but if you have one of these or any other kind of light where it has like a nice soft diffusion like this, whew, it can make your clouds look really cool. It has this nice kind of a full look to it. So let's go ahead and take that, and then when the countdown's done, turn the light on, start drawing out my shape of the clouds. You know what, I think just one cloud over here is gonna look good. So let's do that, but not too bright, so I set my intensity down to like 1 or 2%. Ooh, that looks like a good cloud. You know what, I think that's about it for my drawing. You know what? Let's try and draw Patty. I'm flipping. I have orange already. Patty. will be, yeah, I guess we'll just do double up on the orange. All right, there's my patty. So the thing is, if I draw these separate layers individually, as opposed to trying to draw them all at once, it makes it a little bit easier in post, because in post I can resize them a little bit, and I can also adjust them by moving them to the left and right, up and down, in case I'm a little bit off. So after you're done taking your photos, I like to go ahead and bring mine into Lightroom, so that way I can go ahead and edit them, bring out a little bit more details, color, saturation, especially for the lights. That way they have a little bit more, they can stand out a little bit more. So for this one, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and boost this up just a little bit, brighten it up. Let's see what's next. Actually, let's go ahead and warm up this photo a little bit. I see a little bit of green, so let's go ahead and, actually, I think right about there looks good. Let's see what auto does. No, I don't like the auto one. Oops, too much. There we go. And I'll have it slightly towards the blue, just because I want it to look more like a blue sunny day. Go ahead and bring down my highlights just a tad, bring up my shadows just a little bit. Actually, you know what, let's bring up the shadows, and then I'll bring in a selective one, so that way I can retain the shadows on that part. Let's keep that side dark. Overall, let's keep it right about there. I don't want this photo too bright, because otherwise my drawings, my light paintings it won't stand out as much. So I'll do that, and then we'll do just like that, something not too difficult. And then I'll label that as a 5-star, and then I think I liked this one best. This one I want to go ahead and let's bring my exposure down, bring my highlights down a little bit that way, because if I bring my highlights up, it really whitens them. So I want to actually bring it down just a tad, so I can see more of that red. We'll keep the shadows down so that we can keep it nice and dark. Again with that. And for this one, we're just gonna boost up that saturation and a little bit more of that vibrance. That way it can stand out a little bit more. And then label that as a 5, copy that, and then we'll just do the same thing for this. That blue looks good. And then, actually, you know what? I forgot. Put that as a 5-star. Smoke, we'll do the same thing, but you know what? I don't want this one to be as blue. I want this one to definitely be more white, so I will want to go ahead and increase up the highlights, bring up the whites to right about there, and there you go. I think that looks good. And for the grass, well, let's go ahead and bring in a little more green. A 5-star. And then I liked that sun. It just looks so much happier than the rest. And then put in more yellow into there. And then my spatula. Oh, that one didn't show up as yellow or as orange as I thought it would be. Well, that's fine. I can deal with that. That's what doing it in post is for. It helps kind of, oops, there we go, bring that down. It helps being able to fine tune just a little bit more. I mean, I could obviously change this one to like a complete blue or green or something else, but let's go with that. That looks good. And then the clouds. Actually, you know what? That one we will, like that. And the clouds, I do want you to have a slight bluish tint to them. Because if you look up at the sky and you see the clouds, they do kind of have this blue tint to them. And the patty, oh, you know what? We're gonna have to do the same thing with this one. So let's boost that to there, bring down saturation, or not saturation, the highlights, and then we'll pump this one towards that. There we go. Put that as a 5, and then I'll go ahead and filter all of mine, all of my 5 stars, and I will export this. So, okay. And now we're going to go ahead and open up the rest of the files in Photoshop. If you want to see more in detail about what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, be sure to check out my other video in where I talk about what I'm doing, why and how, and all that other good stuff. Ready? Okay. So there you go. I mean, it's very simple, especially once you lay things out correctly and when you're taking the photo. It actually wasn't too bad. I just have to do some few minor tweaks. I do want to go ahead and raise up my sun a little bit. Select. There we go. So the nice thing about when you do it on a completely dark background, you have the ability to move things a little bit more in post versus having to exactly line things up. Spatula was pretty close. Look at this. And then the grill. Let's bring that down a little bit more. I mean, it was good that it matched, but because I actually put my spatula a little bit lower, or my hand was a little bit higher. Let's do that, and then, you know, I think those legs are fine there. For the grass, I will need to bring it down just a little bit. Bring it to right about there. And there we go. Now I have this photo done. One more thing that I'd like to do to clean it up just a little bit more. We'll remove some of these things. That way it looks nice and clean. There you go. I forgot about that one because I pointed the light up for that photo. And one thing that I will do is, just because I want these ones to stand out just a little bit more. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do the reverse. I am going to put that there, and it'll affect the background. Let's do reset. Oops. Okay, there we go. Done. After I'm done, I like to go ahead and pop that back into Lightroom and apply my filter on it. Let's do one of my custom filters. There we go. Then we'll go ahead and straighten it up. Auto usually does a pretty good job. Yeah, that's the end of it. Now I'll just go ahead and export this and I'm good to go. Let's go ahead and do that, and pow. And there you go. See, light painting is not that difficult. You just have to go ahead and think a little bit differently, because instead of drawing on the paper, what you're doing is you're drawing backwards. You're drawing behind the paper. Kind of like you are drawing on a window and you're behind the glass. So that way you can have the other person on the other side see what you're drawing. Because otherwise, if I'm drawing backwards, you don't get to see anything. You'll get to see like maybe some of these parts where I'm drawing up here. But if I'm drawing something right over here, like in front of my chest and like anywhere in front of my body, you're not gonna see that. So just remember, draw things backwards, think backwards, flip it around. And if you want, draw it out on a piece of paper. You know, plan it out. Get your idea out on paper so that way you have an idea of what you're gonna draw and how you're gonna draw it. Also, don't be too detailed, because a lot of the details aren't gonna be captured, especially the depth of focus. You're not gonna capture like a blurrier light back here and a clearer light up front. I've tried that, it just didn't turn out right. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe if you have a crisper light, because again, I'm only using this cheap, I don't know, $1 or something light that I got a long time ago. But other than that, that's basically all there is. So if you did like this video, if you found it helpful, go ahead and hit that like button for me. And then also be sure to subscribe with the notification bell turned on so you can be updated when I upload new videos. Anyways, I hope you guys are staying safe out there and you guys are keeping healthy, and most of all, keeping creative. Keep that noggin thinking. All right, get up and be curious.